our partner would never be able to fully satisfy and fill everything within you. We have this perception that Miss Perfect is gonna just fix me right up. She's gonna be everything and more.
Welcome to Pushing Your Peers podcast, the number one podcast in the region for living a progressive and happier life. On this episode, I'm joined by the incredible Savion Burke, an entrepreneur, public speaker, and founder of Words at Work. Savion shares his journey of finding purpose, explaining how it evolves as we grow and take on new roles in life. We dive into advice for young men seeking their purpose, the importance of nurturing meaningful relationships, and tips for newlyweds as he reflects on his own experience as a husband. We also explore the P prayer and how it has guided and grounded him in both his professional and personal life. Sit back, relax, and let's get ready to push some peas. Well, Savion, I just want to thank you for coming on Pushing Your Peas podcast. I am excited to have you on, not only as an entrepreneur, but also a speaker. I've also
that's one of the hats too.
So I know this episode is going to be filled with a lot of inspiration, a lot of gems, and we are looking forward to it. Now, let's talk about the P purpose. You know, how did you find your purpose? You wear many hats, but how did you find your purpose through, and how do you know your purpose?
That's a great question. That's a great question. The thing with the question is it really makes you question what comes before purpose. Because before you find your purpose, I feel like you have to find something to put purpose in. Like purpose is more something to be poured into something as opposed to be found in something. And it's interesting because the more you pour into something is the more you see that thing, right? So in finding your purpose or in seeking your purpose, for me, it's been investigating my interests in a way that has been fun, in a way that has been experimental, in a way that has been as the things unfold. You know what I mean? Because I feel like it's like this thread that you pull on. You start looking for it, you find a piece of it here. You know, you might experience a great sense of purpose when you were doing this thing. You might find a great sense of purpose in this one aspect area of your life. You know, as a father, there's a lot of purpose there. As a husband, like I have a role that in working in that way and with that wonderful woman, it's like this is me here. This is purpose, you know. But it comes from first investigating interests consistently and from consistently investigating interest and connecting with that subject, whatever that thing is, purpose kind of develops, you know, and grows. That's what I'll say to that. If that makes sense, can I say that? Is that a
Yeah, that is. How do you feel about people who say, you know, the jack of all trade is a master of none? How do you feel about that? That quote.
That's interesting that you asked that question because I used to feel one way. And I used to feel the way of the mainstream, and it's like understand the principle of it, right?
Right.
However, I've had challenges with it because life is so dynamic. I feel like from all the things that I've experienced personally, professionally, socially, emotionally, it's like you get to this point where the different experiences have taught you different things. And it's only when I go into different things can I learn new things. So it's like I realize now, as much as you might want to specialize in one thing, it is in the understanding of many things that you can now aggregate that information to again bring purpose to the things that you are doing. You know what I mean? Because life is a multifaceted thing. Work is a multifaceted thing. Family and relationships are a multifaceted thing. But when I have a bit of experience here, a bit of experience here, I learn more here, I learn more here. I feel like I now have more just tools in the toolkit that I can now pull on and rely on that just makes sense to me and makes sense to the situation that I can, you know, now tend to. But it's a fine line. It's a fine line.
You know, I describe purpose in my new book, Happy, as something that aligns exactly with what you're saying now. It's multifaceted. You know, as we evolve, so does our purposes. You
Mm,
know, you don't have this one defined
mm,
purpose. You know, like you talk about your purpose now being a husband and also an entrepreneur and amongst other things. And I think God has made this world in abundance, and we should never, under any circumstances, limit ourselves. You have
Mm.
extraordinary bakers that's great lawyers.
Correct.
You know
Correct.
what I mean?
Yeah.
So
Why cap
we
yourself?
right.
Why limit yourself to one lane? You know, like you're meant to take up space in this earth. I honestly believe that, you know, but space is expansive. Is learning about multiple things.
Perfect, exactly. And I just love how, without me even prompting you, it was straight aligned with
Yeah.
what I talked about. You know,
Let's
and
go.
I want to dive into another topic now that's very intimate to me.
Mm,
And that's the topic of our young man being at risk. You know,
mm,
it's throughout the region. You know,
yeah.
and I want you to speak to these young men who
Mm,
might be listening right now on how they can get on their purpose right now. What should they be doing right now?
mm. I'd say working. And work for me is a word that many people have fallen out of love with and gotten, in my opinion, miseducated, misaligned, mistreated, and just hurt by work. But work is a wonderful thing. Because funny enough for me, so now my business is called Words at Work. And I started with motivational speaking in 2017 and it just evolved, as you said, purposes, right? And pulling on this thing that I find interesting and in investigating this interest and trying different things and realizing, but wait now, I could do this thing, you know, I could be on a mic in a party, all right? I could host an event, and it's like, okay, these things not only bring joy to me, but bring joy to other people. And the more we begin to look for ways to work in those kind of ways, aside from your works connected to your actions, that's when you begin to find purpose, but you also begin to find profits. And profits are not only limited to money, profits are anything that adds benefit and value to your life, you know? So for me, especially being a father, especially being a young man myself, like I am just maybe 2 years ahead of the person listening right now. I might just be two big life ships ahead of somebody. It might be somebody my age, but they might be married yet, or they might not have kids as yet. So it's like as your role changes and as you continue to walk the road that is life, that is work, that is love, that is learning, the more you can work in ways that work well for you, work to the benefit of other people, and work in way of your purpose, it's hard to be unhappy. You know, it is, yeah. And we could go into like so much I could say with that. But yeah, that's what I was saying. And we as men, last thing I'll say on that before I go, putting it back over to you is like we as men have so many tools and we as men have so many abilities, so many, I don't want to use the word advantages, but I'll use the word vantage points because of where we are, because of how we are, because of who we are, because of what we can do. So to me, it's exciting to imagine like the potential of men who are working well and working together and working connected in ways to create change. That's
And,
what it is, change,
and
you know?
and let's talk about us working together. What does that look like? Us
Yeah,
as men working together.
yeah. So I hope it's okay that I pull from one of my toolkits, right?
Hmm.
And I'll give you a bit of a sneak peek, and this is why I like to have conversation because all these things are organic, though. These things are just like things that we can now speak to because of what's going on, right? I believe there are ways in which to find joy in your work, joy in your space, joy in your relationships, right? And the word comes up all the time about alignment. But what does alignment really mean? We, in terms of work or in terms of brethren, let me say, right? Let's a perfect example. You have brethren that you could roll with, that you could rock back with. But do you have brethren that you could roll forward with? Do you have brethren or people that I could tell you something and you could tell me back something that would help me help myself? You know what I mean? So the connection, it really comes to this point of alignment. But it's funny when you think about it because we had to bring it back to simple terms. Like, what does that look like on a day to day, right? I literally think about alignment as, all right, cool. You stand up next to me, and I'm standing up next to you. I know if I lean left, you're on my side here. I know if I turn to you, there's somebody there who I could talk to, who I could hopefully get a good answer from. But more than that, there's somebody who I can look at what I'm facing, whatever that is, and they could assist me with that. You know what I mean? And it doesn't have to be like everybody and every brethren would be that brethren. But if you look for that principle within people in your circle, I feel like that's the principle there. I feel like that's how we connect when we kind of work in tandem and like that to people, whatever that might be. You know what I mean? Like somebody called me, I'm doing an event next week, Sunday, Saturday, and they had a hard meeting. And he called me and he was like, "Boy, you wouldn't believe how it went." I don't know, call another meeting, right? And he's a business partner. He's a brethren from school. Like I met him in secondary school. And we talking about the business, but it goes into this conversation of, "Boy, you wouldn't believe what this man saying, and think. And it's not about gossiping. It's about sharing that experience that really impacted you in that moment. You know what I mean? Like he needed a brethren just to listen in that moment. That's what it is. That's what
And
it
that's
is. And
powerful, man, to have that
yeah,
person that you can actually be vulnerable with.
yeah. And talk too, you know, turn too. Yeah, so that's huge. And that's what we need as men. That's what we need as men and talk different things with, you know. Because there are people you could talk to, but you can't talk to everybody about everything. And it's probably best to not talk to everybody about everything, you know.
You
But
don't
I
you agree
feel
with that, though?
yeah, but a few good ones in your circle, man, and you could really move strategically.
That will make a huge difference.
Yeah, I feel so.
You know,
I
we,
feel
we
so.
talked about we talked about purpose, we talked about valuable partnerships. But what else do you think is missing from us today as men, as modern day men?
Missing. Um, it's interesting because when I think about missing, I think about a space to be filled, right? And a space to be filled can either be that we are empty and we need something to fill it, or there's a space that we can fill, right? I think that maybe there are spaces that we as men are not filling. And because of not filling in those spaces, we are not getting filled. Therefore, we feel like we're missing this thing, right? And I feel like that thing is just kind of close partnership with the female species in ways that are again aligned, not misaligned and just confused, you know. But it kind of points to a bigger problem when it comes kind of again, like answer the question about missing. Because I guess if we flip the question to our female peers, it's like, what do you find is missing to have that thing, right? And you could talk about chivalry, you could talk about manners, you could talk about work ethic, you could talk about discipline, you could talk about motivation, you could talk about all these different things that could look like. But that's what I'll say to that. I feel like in filling those spaces and in not missing out on that. I feel like so many men miss out on good relationships, not romantic, good relationships and experiences with women because women think so differently. I don't know if you know. I don't know when last you spoke to a lady.
Right?
It's just so different, you know. But that is why we have counterparts. That's why we have partners. That's why we have women and men to create and pay and build. Because when you have that now, it's crazy. Lady, I was the person. I remember I was having a conversation with somebody and we were planning something for next year, and I was telling the person it's crazy because you are speaking about things that I have been thinking about for so long. I never
Right.
spoke to anybody about because it's just life, you know, whatever, you know. But like, imagine we're having this conversation now, doing this thing, and I'm so thankful for that. That is a young pioneering woman. That is a lady who is about her business and has like now shown me things, and I'm now saying, oh, okay, I could actually, she could actually have been here, you know, like, oh, there's a weakness here. She already, you know, it's powerful. I really feel blessed to say I've enjoyed some really good female, natural, just relationships and connections. And once you could work with women, you could work, you could real work, and it transforms the way in which you work.
You're someone who's married.
Yeah.
Do you have any advice for men?
Oh boy. Oh my brother. Oh my brother.
Do you want to share
First,
any advice?
yes, first and foremost, like, it's the most wonderful thing you could ever experience. Like, to tie it back into what we said, it's like You don't know what you're missing because you never experienced anything like it before. You may have had a taste of close romantic relationships before, but that proximity is just nothing like it, you know? And you can't get close to being, I feel like being emotionally married. So that means you would have had an experience with it. But to be actually married, actually living with somebody, actually building a life with somebody, actually having a home with somebody, actually, you know, catering for somebody constantly, you know? And that's why I told you before. I said, my wife called me again. Just give me 1 second. Me make sure everything is cool there. Let me get back on here because, that's my partner. That's my role. That's my responsibility. So, in the advice to that is like, firstly, it's the most wonderful thing. So, like, with that in mind, you have something to definitely look forward to. But a woman, a wonderful woman, well woman, will enhance your life. So it's to learn from the woman in your life and learn how to love the woman in your life. And then you learn how you love. Like and that's a lifelong thing, right? But it at least begins to help the way in which we could talk and move and walk, you know what I mean? So like advice wise is stay hopeful, go have your filters, but I feel like people and people probably they might if this is like aired live 20 years from now, they might say, hey, what you say? Careful what you say there, But it's like friendships and getting into and having a first solid friendship with a woman and then using that friendship to build. I feel like that is, I mean, and it's ideal. It's not gonna say okay, it's gonna happen, but like that's what I did. You're going for. So, but I feel like if you go into interaction with a woman on the level of friendship, you're going as yourself. You're going calm. You're going cool. And as a woman, one day, one no hot and sweaty, hungry fella to be coming and pressuring them. That's the wrong P. You want to be adding. You want to be giving, and I find like that's the ways in which it works. But just make sure you can make a lady laugh. Once you can make a woman laugh, you're off to a good start.
Love that. Love that. Savion, I just want to thank you for the amazing first half of this conversation. So many gems dropped, especially when it comes to relationships, because it seems as though when you go on social media today, it's like the battle of the sexes.
Yes, rough out there. It's
So it's,
rough.
it's, it's a breath of fresh air to have someone that's married, that's encouraging fellas or
For
giving advice
sure.
on how to go about things. This is what we would call on social media a green flag.
For sure, for sure. No, and these are the kind of things you need to be talking about because I could now speak it because I went through it, but it wasn't a fun, always fun ride. Like it's been rough, and don't get me wrong, like there's a flip side of everything. So the sweetest high is also the deepest low. So it's like you would never be as close to somebody in your life. But because of that proximity that comes with maybe a discomfort, maybe a challenge. You know what I mean? So you're definitely gonna have that, and marriage is a choice. I feel like relationships are a choice because I know, and I learned it in marriage preparation, and I found it was so powerful. If somebody had told me that when I was now beginning to court young women and like speak to women, it would have helped me so much because like our partner would never be able to fully satisfy and fill everything within you. We have this perception that Miss Perfect is gonna just fix me right up. She's gonna be everything and more. And her on her side, Prince Charming, boy, you gonna have it all. By the time he meet me, boy, 30 years past, 25 years past, give me the golden egg. It's like, nah, dog, you have to sort and sift and filter and do it with compassion and do it with the understanding that, hey, I know I'm gonna learn from this, enjoy from this, build with this, and yeah, it's a wonderful thing, man. Love is lovely.
Thank you for sharing that, Savion. Thank you for
Yeah,
sharing.
man.
Now, this is the second half of the show
Tell me.
where you push your peers on Pushing Your Peers podcast. So any word that begins with the letter P that has been transformational to your journey, it can be one word, it can be a multiple of words. You now have to flow up to push your peers.
Say no more. Say no more. I feel like I have to write this. I feel like so many pieces come to mind. But if the first is prayer, bro. I'm not gonna lie, it's a wild ride out there. In life, it's a wonderful experience to be above the ground. But to be above ground, you're gonna be going through a lot, and you live a lot, and learn a lot, and see a lot, and laugh a lot. And it's like it's just going, you know. So prayer, you know, I feel like prayer and pushing prayer, and then from prayer we move to progression. So. Well, you get a taste of me as a speaker, right? So I'll try my best to like bring all my thoughts in a way and like package it up real nice, right? So here's what here's how I'm gonna do it. So it's prayer. We start with the prayer, right? And just like prayer, you know, you start the day with prayer, and a prayer is first an attention and a perception of what is happening and where I am and what's going on, and then per kind of projection of where I'm trying to go, where I'm trying to be, what is it, and giving God thanks for all that it is, and watching your trajectory and being like, hey, bro, it's a wonderful wild ride. It's going to be ups and downs, rounds and rounds. But we give thanks because we know we're young and we're living. Like I'm 27 years old, and I continue to be amazed and kind of more than pleased with all that I see around me happening kind of with that, right? So we move from prayer to perspection to projection to now progression, because like, all right, cool, now I could begin to push. This year has been a really wonderful year. Things have pushed me a lot. I've pushed myself a lot. And things have kind of been pushed forward and pushed around. Not in an aggressive way, but I feel like in a way that I'm at least trying to see now just things aligning, you know, and prayers coming together, and the path becoming clearer. But the path is something you kind of feel around, you know, the path is something that you kind of is one at a time, is bit by bit, is learning with everything. So as we continue to progress on the path, is it continues to be positive, it continues to be again pleasing. Being a family man, being an entrepreneur, being a employee, being a worker, brother, sometimes a mentor. There's so many things that I'm now have my hand in that I'm really trying to get better perspective on, because I need to probably take my hands out of some things because I'm doing plenty, but plenty is what we pray for. We pray for increase, you know, we pray for progression, we pray for that. So it's like, all right, cool. When my plate is full, and I have all these things going on, how do I pick and choose what is best? But it's a really again enjoyable experience to see different things, wear different hats. Lots of exciting things for 2025. I was really excited for this call and this opportunity to connect and progress in this way with you, and again speak to another partnership. This year has been big for partnership, and learning again connection, how to be a better person in a partnership, how to be able to give more service as a businessman, and just work with people in as a husband, as a father. So yeah, bro. That's the P's we push in. That's the path. That's what I say. I'll end there. I don't want to go on too long.
Nah, that was perfect, man. You did your thing with the piece you
Yeah.
put. I think my favorite one out of everything, obviously, is prayer, because we in the Turks and Caicos. I think in the Caribbean in general, we come from a Christian society. You
Yeah,
know,
boy.
so, you gotta have God at the center of everything. You know, that's one thing that in our communities, especially when you're elevating or you're on your road to success, the one message that everybody tells you: put God first. Like they
No,
religious.
they beat that word, they beat that phrase, brother. That no one I know, and again, like it's crazy because I wouldn't have imagined myself on a what's it is, Thursday evening, speaking and sharing that about praying first. That's what I hear my parents say, that's what I hear the grandparents say, that's what but I now come to see it to be true. It's like now I realize, hey boy, you see it to be true when you're doing it, you see it to be true when you're not doing it. You see it to be true when it's just it is what it is. It is what it
Yeah,
is. It's powerful. I
it is
believe that.
powerful. And it is powerful. So I really appreciated that. And Savion, I just again want to thank you for coming on this platform and being so candid. Um, I have two more questions for you before we wrap up
Big
this.
thing, big thing. I find we could real talk, you know. I feel like it's again refreshing to have nice conversations and to be to have an engagement and conversations on topics, and it's been nice. So definitely, again, I mean, I'll say probably before we end again, but thank you for having me. It's
No
been an
problem.
absolute pleasure to be on the podcast. 'Cause I again, like, hats off to you because I know what a podcast is like work wise and business wise and all of it is. I had a podcast, and sorry to say, I did not manage it well, and I had to put it aside, and and I'll get back to it at one point in time, but
I was about to
big
tell you,
reflective.
bring it back. We need it. We need more positive
Yeah, for real.
male voices on the
Yeah,
mic.
you're helping me with that, so thank you for that.
For sure, for sure. And
Thank you.
Savion, there's this young Savion right now, 16 years old, in high school, trying to figure out life, doesn't have a direction. What is your advice to this young Savion, 16 years old, getting ready to come out of high school? Well, I don't know what the high school graduating age
Mm-hmm.
in
Mm-hmm.
Trinidad. I assume it's around 16, 17. But anyway, yeah, that type of person.
Yeah, for
Yeah.
sure. I mean, 16 is a nice age, bro. 16 is a pivotal time because regardless of what you do in school wise, you're now a young man, fully a young man. So it's like what comes with that term, what comes with that role, what comes with that hat, right? So the I guess our advice or thoughts are I rather pose the questions of what are the ways in which you want to work? What are the ways in which you want to learn? What are the ways in which you want to love? What are the ways in which you want to live? What are the ways in which you see this life, going on? How's it been? How's kind of like it's really like a check-in. And that could look like whatever that looks like. And if that is intercol until I die, run behind your intercol, bro. But don't run wild. Now, if you pick something to run behind, all right, cool. Let's get strategic at how you're running about it. Cool. You want to play intercol? You know any coaches? You know any academies? You know any scouts? You know any like how can you take that energy, align with somebody in a partnership, more than likely a mentorship, because at that age, most of your peers carry a system with that. But you know, that's what I would say. And just have fun doing it. You're really only ever going to be as young as you are right now as you are. I'll only be 27 and how many other days right now. I'm not sure your age. I'm not sure how long that person will be 16 for. You might turn 17 tomorrow. you know?
Right.
So it's like again, as an individual, and I feel like as a man you have power to fill spaces. So what spaces do you want to fill? And let's fill those spaces with, as I started saying years ago in 2017, that became my catch line. Fill these spaces with love, like love, and respect in all aspects. And it's going to be a good time. It's going to be a good time. Let's have fun.
Amazing, Savion. Final question, and this is a spin-off question.
Hmm.
Given that it's the holiday season,
Hmm.
what's the weirdest gift you've been given? Ever.
Hmm.
The weirdest gift.
Interesting. Where is gift, bro? I don't know. I don't feel like I've gotten crazy kind of gifts. Hmm. Hmm. I don't know. I'm actually stumped on that. I want to know. Maybe it's because as a Caribbean child, it's like wherever you get it, say thank God, thank you auntie, thank you uncle, mom, dad, big up yourself. I will take it. And it is what it is. So you kind of just learn to love it. But there's probably some clothes that just really weren't it. Like it's like some kind of whack kind of clothes. But I can't say. I can't say as of right now. Maybe as I get older, I'll get some weirder gifts.
I'm
Maybe as
pretty
I
sure.
do. Yeah,
I'm pretty
yeah.
sure it's not. But
But
Savion,
what,
thank
what about you? What about you? Nah, you can't do better. I give you an answer, so you have to give me an answer. What was the weirdest gift you ever got?
I don't know if it's weird, but it was very thoughtful. So last year, my
Yeah, good answer. Good
coworker
answer.
got me this notepad that you stick up on your bathroom glass, and it's like a
Mm,
gratitude notepad that costs for the pencil. So
okay.
the goal of it is that when you get up in the morning, you write down some words while you're in the bathroom and brushing your
Right,
teeth.
right,
So
right.
I
It's an intimate experience.
so it was, I don't know if it's weird, but it's probably one of the most thoughtful gifts that
I
someone has
like,
ever.
yeah, I like
Yeah,
that word. No, because thoughts could be, unless I love there's a very very popular and prominent public speaker, motivational speaker in Trinidad and Tobago. His name is Don Lafoucault, right? One of my inspirations from years on end. And he said this thing once, and he said, "It's not that I am weird. Maybe I'm wired differently, right? Same letters, but the letters are brought around. He easy words guy. Like if you feel like good with words, dog, that guy easy words guy, right?" And it's like, all right, cool. That might not work for me. I might see that kind of weird, but maybe to you as somebody who cares about your morning routine and as you're writing down in the shower, it could be really nice. So I think thoughtful is a nice word. Might have been weird, might have been just come from a little wired, differently thinking. But we say
right.
thank you. Say
Oh, for
thank you.
sure, man. I was entirely grateful for that. It's still in my a year later.
Still hanging out with the bathroom. Have you wrote any notes or it's just them looking at you blank?
All right, what I started doing it, I'll be honest, I started doing it and then I just started saying it to myself in the morning.
Hmm.
So once I see a deal, I know that okay, I gotta say at least 5 things that I'm grateful for today. So
Okay,
it's like one of those things you see. It's like
that's
okay,
good. That's
yeah.
that's
So
real good.
yeah,
So
so
it's definitely doing its purpose then.
yeah, it's definitely serving its purpose. Savion,
Purpose. That's funny.
purpose. You see
That's
it.
funny.
You see it. Savion, where can people find you and your business? Because I'm sure they're interested after this episode. How can we reach out to you?
Yeah, for sure, for sure. So right now, so for me, it started off, and every as a speaker, like we always start with a story, dog. I apologize, but I'm not sorry at the same time. So I started on Snapchat, right? We then progressed from Snapchat to Instagram. From Instagram is really where I built and had a lot of my initial just connections, creations, sharings, works. But that was earlier on, we speaking like circa 2018, 19, 20. So now I'm on Instagram, but if you really want to find me and how I'm working, LinkedIn is where I'm like sharing the experience and all that's kind of going on in the life. The website is soon to be live. That's been a goal for this year, so that's in the pipeline. So LinkedIn and Instagram. Instagram is Masterbook at Masterbook. That's where you see most of my hosting. Yeah, most of the personal, professional side. LinkedIn is just Savion Burke, and that's me.
Ladies and gentlemen, Savion Burke, motivational speaker, MC, husband, and a phenomenal gentleman. Thank you so much for coming on In Your Peace podcast. And we'll see you guys next week.